There we go. Just waiting for the mic to reset. Hey, good afternoon, Shaggy SoCal, Tool for Forza, and we've reached the end. It's the final two track guides for this season of TNT in this 2021 Audi RS6 Avant station wagon. Um, it's been a very interesting season. Very, very interesting car to drive, I would say. So won't miss it. It's been a challenge. There's been some tracks definitely been on the struggle bus a bit, but I think for these last two tracks, not that they don't have their own challenges, but I think there are more tracks that suit the nature of this car better. You know, again, I always describe this as a point and shoot. This car loves to accelerate in a straight line and brakes fairly well in a straight line, but don't ask it to do anything else. And these tracks, you know, these next two, Homestead and then Sebring Short, you know, are more of a point and shoot kind of style. But again, they do have their own challenges with this car. So what I'm gonna do is I'm on medium tires, 50% fuel. I'm gonna go ahead and head out, do a couple of laps, just to kind of wrap my brain around this car on Homestead Road here. Then I'll do a kind of a slow track guide lap. Talk about what I'm looking for, what the car likes, what it doesn't like, what I think you're going to get ready to be able to do, and definitely the couple of trouble areas. So, and then I always want to do a practice with some AI to have some traffic to work around. Maybe try to do a little bit of passing and see where this car I can set up passes. Though I think it's Homestead. It's pretty obvious where the best places to set up passes will be. But I've done enough talking. Let's go ahead and let's just get out there and run some demo laps here. Right. So the biggest challenges for this Audi is going to be the transitions off the oval to the infield. So turn one here, and then the left-hander off the back straightaway, mainly because we're carrying a lot of speed on the oval part to then have to get the car slowed down and turned. The transitions from the infield out to the oval aren't as bad. There, turn it in, up, go. Balance. That was a little too much inside curving. Then car back over. Gonna look for the white tent on the left side, just past. I think that's the 3 board on the right. Here. Now this transition off the back straightaway, I'm still trying to figure out what works best for me. I know it's some sort of braking here. It's just how much braking and the release. It's halfway decent. That's late. Yeah, like turn one, I'm finding it's best just to correct the throttle slightly, just to help the front end, just to help the front of the car turn, so that you can get it set up straight for when you absolutely have to brake. But that's late there, because again, I can't talk and drive at the same time. Back to the left a little bit. Brake right before the 300 board, right about there on the mediums. That's a little bit better. Over. Here, that's a lot of curving there, but that's all right. It's a slow enough corner. So that's probably the way I want to be doing it initially until I get a little more confident with the car. It's a little bit better. All right. So let's talk about turn one. So I'm going to show you, there's a couple different ways I've been approaching this. Actually, we're going to do this. Let me set this up on the track walk slowly, and then we'll just do a couple little demos. So, you're racing down the front straightaway. Now, normally for me, and again, we have the sector time that's also kind of right before where I turn in. Where I'm actually starting to turn in for one is about where the infield, the paint on the infield here on the inside of the pit wall goes to pink. So when I hit about there, and at least in meetup and in test drive, it does kind of match up with where the sector line is. So most cars, most most cars, we have sufficient downforce that we can pretty much. I don't want to say take it flat out. We could take it flat out, be aggressive in, use a lot of this inside curbing here and be able to brake, get it, and then get the car kind of set, parallel to the right side of the track to set up for the next turn. This car doesn't want to do that. So there's a couple different ways. Well, there's at least two ways that I think, as far as consistency wise, that seem to work. But let's talk about the things you. So what I'm going to do is I do want to set up and get a little bit of a run. It's like, how aggressive can you really be at turn one? Because the challenge at turn one is you kind of arc it in, but then it kinks. It kinks a little bit right at that transition from the oval. It's still a little bit banked to the flat infield, and depending on where your weight transfer is with the back of the car, that's enough to upset the back, and or at least you know give you a kind of like moment. Um, so let's get some momentum here. I'm going to try charging in and see what happens. So you might be able to get away with charging in and then braking at the last minute. And that's probably me overdoing it a little bit. But you can see I've locked the rears and the back steps around. So the aggressive, let's just go ahead and rewind. The So trying to charge into one and then brake at the very last minute, right at that transition is, I'm not saying it's not possible. It's doable. You're going to be working really hard to do it. And again, if we're trying to do something that's consistent, that lap over lap that you can just kind of repeat on automatic, again, if you want to try it, if you can make it work, great. I'm struggling to be consistent with it. So the other thing that I went completely the opposite, and let me rewind it a little bit further, is if you want to be a little more, this is a word I never thought I would use with this car. If you want to be a little more graceful into one, you could, as you get to that same point, just pull out of the throttle completely and turn the car in. Maybe do a little balance and then brake. I would say if you're unsure of how to get the car into one, into that transition, do that first. Do that for a couple of laps. Just roll out of the throttle completely. Just gracefully arc the car in, and then brake once you get into the infield. Ultimately, and it took me a few laps to figure it out, but I think ultimately the Goldilocks, the Goldilocks way to get into one is to not charge in full throttle, but not be completely out of the throttle. What you're going to see me do here is to get into one. As I turn in, I'm just gonna crack the throttle. I don't really, for me, I'm not gonna say how much I'm coming out. I don't pay attention to how much I'm coming out of the throttle. It's more about I need to come out of the throttle enough because again, the car, the all-wheel drive car or front-wheel drive cars, you can't ask the front tires to do more than to do two things at once. I can't ask it to turn and accelerate or maintain speed. So if I'm going to try to carry as much speed in as possible, as I turn in, I'm going to crack the throttle enough to give the front tires a little bit more grip to help turn the car in without coming so far out of the throttle that then the weight really starts to shift forward, and I've unweighted the back end, and then when I hit that bump in the transition into the infield, that then the back end wants to step out. So it is finding that just you want to come out a little bit. If you want to, I'm going to do it here. You're going to see it in the mock race as I do laps. Um, you'll see how much I'm cutting out of the throttle. Again, I'm not paying attention to how much I'm cutting out of the throttle. It is by feel. So, so let me stop talking. Let me actually see if I can do it. So just ease out of the throttle a little bit. But that, I think, is what's going to work in one with this car. Um, we'll see. Again, yeah, what I'm giving you what I think is going to work at this point in time. As I do more laps, as I do the mock race, hell, even in the race itself, I may figure something else out. Um, as I may figure something else out as I'm on track. But that seems to be what's working for me for now. Um, so yeah, so the transition here, you've got that bump. You might feel the back end step out a little bit, depending on what you're doing with how much steering you still have in the wheel. Um, the scary part is you want to kind of still be off the throttle at that transition. You don't want to still be trying to brake and slow the car down, because you're not going to have a lot of room. There's no exit curve or anything that's going to help you out if you push into the grass. And once you get into the grass here at Homestead, you're either going to slide into the wall or it's going to take you forever to get back on. So, I'd say in your practice be a little conservative. But ultimately, what I'm trying to do is get the car set out to the right side, obviously, and then brake, 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 brake. Ideally, this next corner is down into third gear. If I've messed up, I'll probably bring it down to second. Again, use the engine braking, gets a little more weight in the front, helps the front end turn. Um, give yourself a little bit of room on the right side. I mean, here you do have a little bit of exit curbing, or actually, this isn't technically exit curbing, this is entry curbing. But it is curbing. You get a little bit of help here if you get it completely wrong, but for depending on how much speed you're carrying and what the car is doing, because you're under braking here at this point, the back end's going to be a bit light. So if you can give yourself some wiggle room, try and be neat and tidy, and not play with the curbs here, I think you'll be much happier. Less likely to have the back end pitch out on you, or you lose grip, or you accidentally put it in the dirt, and then you're off in the fence. So let me put it back in first. So late turn in, my habit is I tend to turn into this turn too early. So third gear, you can use a bit of that inside curbing, let the car come out. If I've turned in early, I'm going to be out on the exit curbing here. You can cross over onto the blue. I'm like, if you're going to go off, go ahead and use all of that blue painted cement there on the inside to get the car back on track. So third gear, for me, braking for this next corner, since I don't have the braking line on, I'm kind of looking at. Now it's easy to see in the daytime, but at night, what I'm kind of looking at is you can see kind of the scaffolding kind of tent just on the other side of the fence. That's what I'm going off of. I've also got the light pole there. It's not lit now, but at night that's a little easier to see. So it's somewhere, before that light, but no earlier than where that scaffolding, that dark scaffolding tent with the red and white flat banners on it, goes out of view. So that's where my eyes are looking. So as that goes out of view, brake, 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 down to second gear. Ideally, I'd like to do a late turn in, late apex. And at this point, I don't want to go all the way to the right side. I know that the rubbered in line seems to be all the way to the right, and but I think for this car, and just my philosophy in general, I'd rather be mid track at most. And maybe cheat a little bit to the left, because I do want to open this turn up a little bit, because these two turns are more important than the one I just exited. Still second gear. Um, Really not going to see me roll back into full throttle. If I do, it's very, very briefly, but definitely this comes up quicker than you think to get the car slowed back down. Still second gear. You might try it in third, but I want to get the car down to the apex, and then as I'm leaving, that you can see that newer cement patch that's there at the bottom. If I'm at this point, if I'm here, I'm hopefully going to punch it and go back to full throttle, because as it's a fairly straight shot across to the apex of the next corner. So second gear, third gear, it'll be a short shift to third, hold the inside. I'll bring the car out to about mid track and start bringing it back over. for the next heavy braking, double A, I'm going to call it a double apexer. But again, I'm going to be coming up through the gears, second gear, third gear, fourth gear. I forget if I get the fifth gear or not. I don't, I don't pay attention. I just keep going up in the gears as I need to. Um, Braking for this next corner, for me, there's three things I'm looking for. So depending on the tire you're on, depending on how much momentum you have, you see the 300 board there. I'm definitely braking before the 300, but the two things that I'm looking at coming down the stretch and conditions will dictate, what's more easily seen. Is I've got the inside temporary lighting there, that's sticking up. At night, that's much easier to see at distance. The daytime, you can kind of see. Let me roll up on it a little bit closer. You can see this patch here, of different colored concrete. So at first, now that I'm looking a closer look at it from a distance, it kind of looked like, sometimes what happens when the nose of the car scrapes on the ground, when you get into braking. But that's primarily what I'm looking for if I can spot it. If I can't, then I'm looking for the light. But what I'm finding is I need to brake right about in between those, regardless of tire compound. I'm maybe on the softs, I can brake a little. I can get away with braking a little bit later. Certainly on the hard compounds, this is about where I need to brake. So your mileage may vary. You might be better braking, certainly. But anyhow, talking too much. So brake, 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 brake down to second, maybe third gear. I think it's actually, yeah, ideally third gear. The turn in, if I get it right, I'm going to use the curbing on the inside here a little bit, just get on it there a little bit. But I like to let the car come out, and I'm going to use all of the exit curbing here, and I'm going to use this, the cut across, access road here to set up for this next turn onto the second. I don't know if it's not really a back straightaway; it's maybe mid straightaway. Um, but what I'm also doing is, since I'm using this, it's not track limits, my turn in is obviously going to be dictated by where that ends. But if I've done it right, the third gear here, probably off the throttle a little bit. As I get to the apex, I should be able to hit fourth, get to the curve, and if I've done it right, I should be able to hold full throttle all the way out of the corner. And that's what I'm trying to do. Is I'm trying to get the car at a good angle where I can get the full throttle as early as I can, and still hold it out, out onto this next straightaway without torturing the tires. So there's the trick. I mean, I could throw more if I find I'm pushing. I could throw more wheel lock in and torture the tires a little bit. But if not, then what you may see me doing is as I'm coming out of the corner, if I feel like the car's pushing, based on how much steering I have in, again, it's just that crack that throttle, just that smidge, just to give the front tires a little bit more weight, a little bit more ability to turn. So fourth gear at this point, up to fifth, bring the car back to the right, setting up for the next hairpin turn onto the back straightaway. So daytime, these signboards are very tough to see at distance regardless, and they're even tougher to see at night or in kind of twilight conditions. Um, so what I'm actually looking for is braking is just past the 300, 200 is way too late. So what I'm actually looking for at distance, excuse me, if I can spot it, is, I'll spot the big white tent here, but it's this second white tent that I'm kind of going off of, that as I get to that, excuse me, that's where I'm finding I need to brake. So that's my consistent braking, and I think it's a little bit better lit at night to be able to spot that. So we'll see how that rings, if that rings true, depending on how we race, or what conditions we're under. So brake, 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 brake. For me, it's second gear corner. As you look at the track map, it's a hairpin, but it's kind of the second half of it is an increasing radius. So I'm trying to get my braking done so that I can release the brakes as I get to the end of the curbing. Well, let's see. I'm going to qualify that. I'm kind of going. It is by feel. I don't have a scientific point of where I'm actually turning in. I think it's a little late to turn in where the grass ends, though that would work. It would allow you to do more of a late turn in, a late apex out. Turn in's probably going to be somewhere, trying to get the braking done so that I can release the brakes probably somewhere between the end of the curbing here and the end of the grass. But brake, 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 second gear. Again, you can get away with using a bit of curbing at the apex. Roll back into the throttle. I'm going to use all of the curbing here out. Second gear, third gear, and I probably will, straddle the line, try to minimize distance. And then now we're getting to the other tricky corner that I'm still trying to figure out what works best for this car. Again, it is another one of those. We're carrying a significant amount of speed. We got to scrub the car. We've got to gracefully arc it into the corner and have to deal with a bump, right at the worst possible time to get it back to the infield without losing the back end. There's no help as far as exit curving or exit tarmac. So you better get it's better. The later you can turn the car in, the better, because it'll be a little bit more straighter. If you try to do a shallow entry and you don't get the braking right, you're going to go off on the other side. So what I'm currently trying to do is I'm using the 100 board to brake. And this is the part where I'm not sure how much do I do in a straight line? Do I try to diamond it a little bit, maybe brake in a straight line a little bit on an angle? This is where I'm still trying to play around with it. Brake, brake, but it is at least what I'm trying to do is brake, 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 and get my braking done as I get past the 50 board, because it is a heavy enough braking that the car's not going to turn that much. So I'm trying to get as much of that braking done as possible so that I can release the brakes or start to feed the brakes out, get some steering control back to the front of the car. And if I've done it right, ideally what I'd love to be able to do is clip the inside curbing here and roll back and then quick punch of the throttle till I get to the 100 board. That's what I'm trying to do with this car, but I've been very inconsistent. Most cases I'm turning in too late, or I'm not getting all my braking done, and usually I'm winding up a little wide. Again, you get no help on the exit. You drop tires on the right side, chances are the car's going to pitch sideways on you, or it's going to pull you off. And then you just got to get the car slowed down and get it back on track. But if you do it right, you're carrying speed, you should be at least very, very briefly back to full throttle. And for me, I'm braking at the 100 board. Brake, 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 down a gear to fourth, maybe third. No, fourth for there, third here. Release the brakes about at the, what is that, the 50 board? Yeah, I'm braking at the 100. Release the brakes at the 50. Yeah. I don't pay attention to numbers a lot of times either. It's just like first board, second board. Release the brakes here, third gear. I'm going to try and use as much the inside, maybe cross over the curb there. Setting up for the final chicane onto the front stretch. This is another one where it comes up a lot quicker than you think it does as far as when you have to get on the brakes. And there's not a lot of, for me, not a lot of reference points. I can kind of see kind of a discoloration where, you can tell where maybe the cars have gotten on the brakes. But third gear here, you're going to brake early. If you try to use the kind of the inside grass there, I guess for the alternate pit garage entry, that for me is too late. The other thing I found is you can get away with taking a shallower entry, so you don't have to bring the car all the way over to the left. I think if you get at least at most mid-track, you're still in a good spot to get the car through the last couple of corners. That's what I say now. It might be different later. But here again, third gear if you get your braking right. Second gear if you need a little help to get to get a little more weight in the front tire to get it to turn, to get the car to rotate. But I'm going to try and abuse this curving here to the inside as much as possible. And if I do it right, I'm going to do the same thing here and use a lot of the inside curving. Now I've talked about the getting the car back on, getting the car transition back onto the oval. It's hard to see here, but there is, if we run at night, it's much easier to see, but you're gonna I'm gonna point the nose of the car straight at it. So if you look at the catch fencing, you're gonna see kind of the extra little area where they put the gate that you can open up that people can get, to and from, or, onto the track to the other side. Just to the right of that is a course condition light. Now, daytime it's not lit. Nighttime it's lit. It will be green. Um, as you come out of this corner, depending on how well you've hit it, you want the nose of the car. And there, it's a little bit easier. You can see the gate there. You can see the course condition light. You want the nose of the car, at least the center line of that car. But you can tell I really practice what I'm going to say. You want the center line of the nose to the left of that course condition light, to the left of that, that gate in the catch fence, so that when the car transitions up, you know, you might feel the back end step out, but the car is going to rotate and it's going to get onto the oval. It's going to get onto the banking much easier. If you find that if you're to the right, even if you still have steering in, as you hit that, the car is going to still want to go to the wall, and you're going to really have to, you know, wrench the wheel or get out of the throttle and back in to get the car to rotate. So again, the best practice is have the center line of the hood of the nose to the left of that course condition light. The easier it is to get back onto the front straightaway. The less that transition upsets the car, and that's Homestead. And then front straightaway. Then there you go. So yeah, so that's a lap of Homestead in this Audi. Hey, I inherited a dirty lap. Go figure. But at this point, I'm gonna kind of transition, and we're gonna do the mock race and kind of you know see see how well I do. Practice my questionable racecraft. Let's go ahead and get out of this. To event. No, we're gonna quit race because I do want to reset it up. Again, some of the things I don't think about because I primarily my target audience is the tool the too old for Forza Thursday Night Thunder racers. But if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to experience the joy of this this Audi and the tune we've been running, I will show you what that is here in a minute. Yeah, we're going to go to Audi and. Okay, circuit race. I want to change a couple of things. I want to see if I can make the racing a little bit better. Short, I'm going to change that here. Oh, wait. Yeah. Homestead Road Circuit. I think on Thursday we're going to run 23 laps. It's going to be in and around there. Might be a lap more, might be a lap less. We're going to go random for time of day, rolling 4x, 20, partly cloudy. Nope. We're going to say random, but I'm not going to run in the rain. Driver difficulty, that's all good there. Cars, Sport Luxury, Audi R6 Avant. Yep, we'll all be in the same car. Rule set. This is where I'm going to make a couple of tweaks. Sport rules, that's fine. Standing PI, we're actually going to do it. We're going to do it based off PI in ascending order. So I want the slow cars at the front, though I think pace-wise will be very similar. I'm going to set a half-second roll-off delay for everybody. This will put me kind of, and again, the way Forza balances things out, this is going to put me probably somewhere between 12th to 15th on the starting order, depending on how they balance the PI out. But when I get going, I'm going to let the rest of the field go by. I do want to try and work through traffic. Mandatory pit stops, we're going to go 2. I think that will do it. Let's go ahead and accept it. And roll the dice. What do we get? Time. Okay, looks like we're going to get ideal conditions here. Tell us about Homestead.
For the final bend on Homestead, stay far left for the transition on the banking to avoid unsettling the car.
Yeah, she put it much more eloquently than I did. So, but yeah, that's the idea. Point the car. Anyhow. All right, so for those of you, if you happen to be watching this on YouTube's and want to experience the joys of this car, the tune you want to go look for, let's go to custom upgrade. Yeah, I know it's going to make me remove it. That's fine. Setup manager, my tunes. It is called TNT Lil Wang, meaning little wing, which, yeah, there's not little wing. There's no wing. There's a little bit of front. on there, but it is by Voodoo Dad. So if you want to download it and experience the joys of this car, or the joys of this tune, go ahead and do it. So I'll go ahead and reload that back on. And yep, allocate. Yeah, so I think if you buy the car, it's like 58,000 credits roughly to get all the parts if you haven't leveled up the car points. So let's get out of here. Okay, so tires. Again, we're running, we're running, 5 times on the tire wear. So for soft, medium, hard, expect to get about 4.5 laps, 6.5 laps, and 9 laps on the tires until it hits moderate, until it hits that 60% threshold. So I'm giving the half laps because, again, if you tend to be a little bit more abusive on your tires, you're only going to get 4 laps. If you're less abusive on the tires, you might stick it out and run that 5th lap, because again, that 0.5, it is going about moderate about halfway through. So again, your mileage may vary. Conditions are going to impact it as well. Usually my tire guesstimates are kind of done in fairly ideal conditions. I mean, it's mid-afternoon, partly cloudy. I usually run about half a tank of fuel on the tire, at least to get a rough guesstimate. But with that, I've not figured out what I'm going to do for race strategy yet. Let's go ahead and go fuel and tire. Again, for a 23-lap race, it's guesstimating you're only going to get 22 laps. I'm actually going to see if that holds. So I'm going to just do 100% fuel. We'll see if that lasts for the race or if I run out at the end. But with that, let's see, 23 laps. If I can get 9, 18. So let's see, 9 plus, I'll chance it and say 9, 7, 16, 21. Yeah, so even if I do hard, medium, soft, that's not going to be enough. So it might be a hard, medium, medium. 7, 7, 14, 9, blah, 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 blah. See, this, so I can't do math in my head. So usually what I'm going to do is I'll have a clipboard. I'll have it like sitting here on a stand here with kind of what my plan strategy is. But let's see, we'll probably start on the hards, run the 9 laps on the hards. We'll do 7 laps on the medium, so 9, 7, 16. Then yeah, probably just run mediums the rest of the race. So I think we'll do that for this demo here. So 100% fuel, we'll start in the hard tire, and then we'll run medium. Not wet. Okay. All right, fingers crossed. Here we go. Yeah, I'm about mid-pack, but what I'll do is I'll pull over to the right here when it releases me. The reason I'm doing the half-second delay is just to not have as much of a bunch up of the field in turn 1. And for me, the whole purpose of this is to have some cars on track that I can pass. Gary's still looking. Hey, I'm still kind of here. What are you doing? What? I think that's the first time I've ever had that happen, that it just kind of ghosted through him. Up to the outside. I can outbrake him. Oh, this is the other thing. Forza, why do you do this to me? I go do all my demo laps and try and figure out, my braking points and visual stuff, and then going into the race, you go ahead and change everything. The tent that I was mentioning before, it's there, but it's hidden by a lot more tents. Let's see what happens. Lower the throttle slightly. Okay, something's going on. I shouldn't be ghosting. Let's. So, why is everything ghosting? Oh, I exited. That's fine. And something wrong. Circuit race. Okay, let's go to rules. Sport rules. We're not ghosting back markers. Okay, ascending grid order. That's all fine. Roll off delay. Race timer. Compare lap. No mandatory pit stops. No teams. Do anything teams. Number of car groups. None. Why? Everybody ghosting. Race line. I'm just going to take another pass through the rules just to make sure. Sport rules. We're not ghosting the back markers. Disqualification off. Rewind is. Oh, it's on. That's fine. Standing start. Standing start. PI. Sending grid order. Roll delay half second. This timer is a minute. That's fine. Yeah. I don't know what. Well, let's just try reloading. We're going to just try this one more time. And watch. It's going to put us in pouring rain. Okay. We'll try this again.
Track temps can reach over 130 degrees here on a hot, humid day, which may reduce your tire's grip around this road course during the race.
Yep, but we are not racing during the middle. We're 7 p.m., so it is at night. I'm just going to go... It wouldn't be in the settings, because that's... Well, let's just try this again. Fuel and tire. 100%. We'll go hard tires. Joys of live streaming. Actually, let me go ahead and just... I'll do it safely, but I'm going to just see if I got collision. There we go. That's much better. Yay, I'm happy I can run into people. So race strategy, we'll do 9 laps and then just run mediums. 2 stints of 7. Again, curse you Forza by changing tents between practice and the race. But I guess it makes sense from a immersion or simulation standpoint that there wouldn't be really anybody there during testing. The race, different story. So I get it. But, I've got to complain about something. You can see, and when we get the dust, you can see that's lit a little bit better. You can see the green light. Someone's off. Inside, maybe I can get Baker Boy here. Nope. Oh, Baker Boy, a lot of steering lock there. That wasn't the best turn. Nova getting a little argy-bargy. Elbows are already out. We're only 2 laps in. See if I can start doing that in third. I think charge into that corner a little bit, but I still want to lift as I get to the apex just to help get the car turned. It's a little bit late. We'll just salvage what we can. Late. Please don't. And it. 3 feet. Too late on the brakes. Thing's definitely gaining on the leader. Really gaining on Nova. Again, I did try to put the higher PI cars at the back, so not braking enough. But yeah, pit lane's going to be fun. Definitely is having handling issues. So, see if I can look underneath him here on the exit. Oh. I think my problem here is this braking is heavier than it's a heavier braking than you think it should be. But it has to be because this car doesn't stop. This car doesn't turn. It accelerates well. Let's just see what happens here. I almost dropped tires on the right side. That's why I was kind of... that would not have been fun. A little bit better of a run out of the corner, but not enough to do anything with it. Because okay, so we're going to box this lap. Turn, turn, turn. It must be... Oh yeah, past 50%. That's why the car's not turning. Lights will probably turn on here. Probably. There we go. At least this car has decent headlights. Okay, so pit lane, the entry is interesting, just in the fact that if you're not really paying attention, it's easy to miss because you really have to crank the wheel out of the final left-hander and not go onto the oval. So it's get here, drop to second, crank, turn, 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 turn. Don't hit the barrels. Medium, skip. We're gonna chance the fuel. So the entry is just a little bit tougher to get into because you do have to really crank that wheel and not carry a lot of speed out. So, communicate. Hopefully you don't get tagged by someone not knowing that you're going to pit. The exit, the nice thing is that we do have, and we'll see how it releases. When I did this controller, when it gets released, turn. And you can brake about the 50 board. If you don't, come on, Nova, get going. When you get released out of pit lane, you're gonna need to turn the wheel to the left. Otherwise, you're gonna go straight out onto the racing surface, onto the racing line, and possibly get destroyed if you happen to come out in traffic. So, but you can punch the gas second gear, maybe get the third, and you just know to brake just before the 50 board. And then just keep it to the inside on the left hand side through that next turn. Oh, that's late, because I can't talk to the driver at the same time. Oops, excuse me. Pump and run, shake and bake. Hopefully, maybe on the next stop, I'll get a cleaner out where I can kind of demonstrate that a little bit better. Yep. That'll be time penalty. Oh, no penalty. Good. A little bit of a run, but not enough. All right, let's try something. So yeah, you can attempt to pass there. You just got to make sure you get the braking completely done. Good to know. we go. Gotta run. So did Darby. Take a make. Darby kind of clearing the path. Be a little bit wider because I don't know what's going to happen here. Oh, that's what's going to happen. Oh, that was dangerous. Inside, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna run here. I don't want to be forced to the outside. Later turn and see if we can get the crossover. No, because he blocks the inside. The driver tires like, oh my god, I've missed the apex. I have to get back to it. I must be on better tires than the rest of them. Excuse me, remember, the cars aren't. We're not ghosted. Okay, let's see. 9 plus 7 is 16. So, okay, 3 laps. So I'm releasing the brake a little bit past that 50 board, but it is heavier braking than you think you might need to do. I am playing with fire with that outside grass there. It's like I'm on the medium compound. I'm on a slightly softer compound, so it's like, how much can I push it into one? It's like completely kind of miss all the apexes there. There's Miner. Just dropped the right rear on the grass. little bit of a run. Well, no, I might take a look. Okay, it's my in lap anyway. Moderate. All right, so please, bomber, don't pit. Second. Crank, 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 crank. Okay, we'll stay on the mediums. We'll skip. I want to chance it. Okay, so, and I'm actually gonna, like, as soon as it releases you, see how it kind of pitches you off that way? So as soon as you get released, you wanna turn the car left to keep it in that exit lane, and then just brake at the 50, and then just keep it to the left side. And once you're clear, then you can get back on the racing line. So sacrificed a few positions for that, but I think it's kind of something you definitely want to practice pit in and pit out here. So since I can't use the tents on the left side, there's no definitive tent to go off of. I can't spot. I do have to kind of look for the braking board on the right. A little bit of fuel saving here, I think. Maybe not. Sorry. This is going to be interesting. Maybe not. Really barely caught where that braking board was. Oops. Trying to find places. I know I can kind of save a little bit of fuel coasting into one. Trying to find other places where I can do that a little bit. Like there's a possibility, but it's finding how can I save fuel without completely sacrificing pace. So I'm probably
3 more.
guessing maybe half a lap short. Short shift a little bit. So Letty's got a pit. At this point,
You got this.
Got a little bit in there. Probably get the no lap of fuel left here on the either here on the backstretch. Unless it already came up and I missed it. Oh, there it is. But with only a couple of corners to go. Should be able to get there. Get to the line before Bomber catches me. Yes. Okay, so yeah, you probably want to take a little fuel during the race, but 34:48, yeah, 23 laps is in the ballpark, so might be a lap or two. It might be a lap less. Might be. I don't think it'll be more than 23. So that is Homestead, Homestead Road Course in this boat. So then I'm going to take a little bit of a break and come back, and we'll do Sebring Short, which is then the final. I think if I got the race order right, Sebring Short will be the final race of the season, and then we don't have to drive this car again. So hope you guys are having a good Saturday so far. See you on Thursday. Happy racing. Oh wait, I'm on the podium. Wait, am I on the podium? No, I still finished fourth. I thought I had a podium. Oh well. So anyhow, hope you guys are having a good weekend. Happy racing.